world is asking one question right now, and it's a question that Meghan Markle and Prince Harry absolutely do not want to answer. Where are Archie and Lilibet? The Sussex children have seemingly vanished into thin air, and what should be a simple matter of showing your kids to the world has now exploded into a full-blown global conspiracy that's tearing the internet apart. People are no longer just curious, they're suspicious. They're angry, and they're demanding answers that Meghan and Harry refuse to give. It all came to a head at a recent memorial event in Los Angeles. A tragedy, really. McKee Zajfen, Meghan's close friend, lost her 9-year-old son George in the most heartbreaking circumstances. The memorial should have been about honoring that little boy's memory. Instead, it became yet another Sussex circus, complete with staged photographs, tactical displays of affection, and one glaring, disturbing absence. Archie and Lilibet were nowhere to be found, not a single sighting, not even a mention. The children who supposedly lived just down the road in Montecito didn't attend their mother's dear friend's memorial service. Odd, isn't it? Especially when you consider that Meghan made sure to post a photograph of Harry bear-hugging Kelly's 12-year-old daughter, Lily, with the caption that sent shockwaves around the world. Our other favorite Lily. Read that again, our other favorite Lily. The implication being, of course, that their own daughter Lilibet is the first favorite Lily. But here's the thing that's driving people absolutely mad. Where is Lilibet? Where is Archie? Why are these children perpetually locked away in the Montecito mansion like characters from a gothic novel? Why do we never see them at events, at parks, at school, doing literally anything that normal children do? The questions are piling up faster than Meghan and Harry can ignore them, and the conspiracy theories are no longer fringe whispers. They're mainstream conversations happening in living rooms, on social media, in newspapers across the globe. Sources close to the situation reveal that the Sussex children are being kept in what insiders describe as fortress-like conditions. No public appearances, no playdates that anyone can verify, no school runs photographed by paparazzi despite Montecito being a small community where everyone knows everyone. It's bizarre, it's unprecedented, and it's fueling speculation that ranges from the merely suspicious to the absolutely explosive. Some people are questioning whether the children are even real in the way Meghan and Harry have presented them. Others wonder if there's something darker going on behind those Montecito gates. But everyone, and I mean everyone, is asking the same fundamental question. What are Meghan and Harry hiding? And why won't they just show us the kids? That Instagram post wasn't just tone deaf, it was calculated, cruel, and it backfired spectacularly. Meghan Markle, ever the strategist, thought she was being clever when she captioned that photograph of Harry embracing Kelly's daughter with the words, "Our other favorite Lily." But what she actually did was throw gasoline on a fire that's been smoldering for years. The internet erupted, royal watchers exploded, and suddenly everyone was asking the question Meghan desperately didn't want asked. If this child is your other favorite Lily, then where exactly is your actual Lilibet? The audacity of it all is staggering. Here's Meghan at a memorial for a 9-year-old boy, using the moment to post about someone else's child while her own children remain invisible. The optics are horrendous, the message is confusing, and the implications are downright disturbing. People immediately started dissecting every word of that caption. Why other favorite? Why not just say Harry is comforting Kelly's daughter? Why make it about your own child who coincidentally shares the same nickname but never seems to exist in any meaningful public way? Royal commentators had an absolute field day with this one. The Royal Grift pointed out something fascinating. On Meghan and Harry's own Archie charity website, there's a photograph where Meghan literally cuts Harry's face off. She cropped him out, her own husband, the father of her allegedly beloved children. And yet here she is, posting tender moments with other people's kids while her own remain locked away like state secrets. The contradictions are dizzying. The narrative makes no sense, and people are no longer buying whatever story Meghan is trying to sell. Social media went into overdrive. One user wrote, "How utterly vile to be stood there fake crying with a photographer at your feet while your own kids are nowhere to be seen." Another pointed out, "She calls someone else's daughter her other favorite Lily, but we haven't seen her actual Lilibet in how long?" The comments section became a battlefield of speculation, anger, and increasingly dark theories about what's really happening behind closed doors in Montecito. Because here's the thing that nobody can ignore anymore. Normal parents don't behave this way. Normal parents don't hide their children from the world while simultaneously using other people's children for publicity stunts. The post was supposed to show Harry as a caring paternal figure. Instead, it raised 1,000 red flags. Why is Harry playing uncle to Kelly's kids when, according to reports, he hasn't spent any meaningful time with his actual niece and nephews back in the UK? Why is he embracing someone else's 12-year-old daughter while his own children are mysteriously absent from every single public event? The whole thing felt performative, staged, and deeply unsettling. And the fact that Meghan thought this was good publicity only proves how disconnected from reality she's become. She wanted to control the narrative. Instead, she lost control of it completely. Let's talk about what nobody in the mainstream media wants to address: the ongoing, bizarre, absolutely inexplicable situation surrounding Archie and Lilibet Sussex. These children, if we're to believe Meghan and Harry's carefully crafted narrative, are living in a multi-million-dollar mansion in one of California's most exclusive communities. They allegedly attend school. They allegedly have friends. They allegedly live normal, happy lives away from the spotlight. Except there's one massive problem with that story. Nobody has ever seen any evidence of it. None. Zero. Not a single verified sighting. Think about that for a moment. Montecito is not a sprawling metropolis where you can disappear into anonymity. It's a small, tight-knit coastal community where celebrities are spotted constantly. Oprah gets photographed. Ellen DeGeneres gets photographed. Every other famous resident gets caught on camera doing mundane things like grabbing coffee or walking their dogs. But Archie and Lilibet, they're ghosts. Invisible, locked behind gates that might as well be castle walls. Sources close to the situation describe the Sussex residence as fortress-like, with security protocols that seem wildly excessive for a family claiming they just want privacy and normalcy. Here's where it gets really strange. Normal celebrity kids get photographed eventually. It's inevitable. Paparazzi camp out, neighbors talk, school runs happen. But with the Sussex children, there's nothing. No verified photos of them at parks, no sightings at local restaurants, no playdates that anyone can confirm. Insiders whisper that the children rarely, if ever, leave the property. One source revealed that the level of secrecy surrounding these kids is unlike anything they've ever seen in Hollywood. It's not normal privacy, it's something else entirely. Something that makes people ask very uncomfortable questions. The conspiracy theories write themselves at this point. Online forums are exploding with speculation that ranges from surrogacy arrangements that Meghan wants hidden, to theories about the children's actual existence, to darker whispers about control and manipulation. Some people point to the handful of photographs that have been released over the years, noting inconsistencies, strange angles, and images that look oddly staged or edited. Others question why a couple so desperate for publicity and relevance would hide their greatest assets: their children, the very thing that connects them to the British royal family and gives them any remaining credibility. Royal observers note that even during their time in the UK, Archie was rarely seen. His christening photos were controlled and limited. His appearances were carefully managed to the point of absurdity, and then they fled to California, and the curtain came down completely. Lilibet, allegedly born in California, has been even more invisible. The world has seen more of Harry and Meghan's chickens than their own daughter. That's not an exaggeration, it's a fact. And it's fueling a wildfire of speculation that Meghan and Harry cannot contain, no matter how many staged photos they release or how many carefully worded statements they put out. The Montecito mystery isn't going away. It's growing stronger every single day. The memorial service for 9-year-old George Zajfen should have been sacred. It should have been private, dignified, and focused entirely on honoring a child's life cut devastatingly short. Instead, it became the Harry and Meghan show, complete with a personal photographer, staged crying, and publicity stunts that left observers absolutely disgusted. The term being thrown around social media says it all. Tragedy ghouls. That's what people are calling them now. Tragedy ghouls who swoop in on other people's pain and turn it into content for their increasingly desperate brand. Let's break down what actually happened, because the details are grim. Meghan Markle arrived at this memorial with a photographer in tow. Not a general press photographer covering the event, a personal photographer whose lens was trained almost exclusively on Meghan herself. While other attendees mourned, while Kelly and her family grieved, this photographer was capturing Meghan's performance. And it was a performance. Witnesses described watching Meghan cry on cue, producing tears the moment the camera pointed at her, then stopping the instant the photographer looked away. It was theatrical. It was calculated, and it was deeply, profoundly inappropriate. But here's where it gets even more disturbing. Before Meghan ever joined the royal family, she used to brag about her ability to cry on demand. There's literal video footage of her boasting about this skill. "You're like Meghan. One tear, left eye, go. Give me 3 seconds," she said in an old interview, laughing about how easy it was for her to manufacture emotion. And that's exactly what people witnessed at this memorial. One tear, left eye, go. The same practice performance she'd perfected years ago, now being deployed at a child's memorial service. The cynicism is breathtaking. Social media erupted with disgust. One commenter wrote, "How utterly vile to be stood there fake crying with a photographer at your feet to capture the moment. He's not taking pictures of other people at the memorial. He's got his lens solely on Meghan." Another pointed out, "All she does is perform. They are both gross with every camera click." Royal commentator Princess Parkle noted, "The Harry and Meghan body language is screaming we hate each other." No matter how many times Meghan Markle claps back with "See, he loves me" posts, the consensus was unanimous. This wasn't grief. This was a photo opportunity disguised as compassion. Royal expert Brittany from the Royal News Network put it perfectly. This was an event which, let's be honest, is one of the most tragic circumstances, and it should be all about Kelly and Julian and the fact that they lost their 9-year-old son. But I guess they want the publicity for the foundation they're building. So it's like, let's bring the Harry and Meghan circus in. And that's exactly what happened. A grieving family's tragedy became fodder for the Sussex publicity machine. A dead child became a prop in Meghan's endless quest for relevance. And people are absolutely done pretending this is normal behavior. The tactical touching was everywhere. Harry's hand on Meghan's back, Meghan's arms wrapped around Harry's waist, intimate whispers, lingering gazes, public displays of affection that screamed, "Look how in love we are," to anyone watching. But nobody was buying it. Not this time. Because what Harry and Meghan thought would be a masterclass in damage control turned into a masterclass in how badly two people can misjudge their audience. The performance was so obvious, so desperate, so painfully staged that it had the exact opposite effect they intended. Instead of convincing people their marriage was solid, they made everyone more suspicious than ever. Body language experts had a field day dissecting every photograph from that memorial, and what they found was fascinating. Despite all the touching, despite all the apparent closeness, Meghan's body was consistently leaning away from Harry. Her arms might have been around him, but her torso was creating distance. Her posture screamed discomfort, even as her face tried to sell intimacy. One expert noted, she is very much leaning away from him at the same time with her arms around him, trying to put distance. The contradictions in their body language told a story that their carefully posed photos couldn't hide. These two people do not want to be near each other. The timing of this public affection blitz is what gives the game away. Just weeks before, Harry and Meghan had appeared at an event in New York, looking absolutely miserable together. Reports surfaced about the true state of their marriage. Divorce rumors exploded across social media and tabloids. Insiders whispered about money problems, about their Hollywood dreams collapsing, about tensions reaching a breaking point. And then suddenly, conveniently, at this memorial service, they're all over each other like teenagers at prom. The strategy was transparent. Flood the zone with new imagery. Create a different narrative. Make people forget about the cracks showing in their carefully constructed fairy tale. But people didn't forget. They saw right through it. Royal commentator Brittany nailed the Sussex strategy perfectly. This was about trying to say, we've created our own family. Let's shift the narrative again. We've done this appearance in New York where everyone's talking about how miserable we are with each other. So we're gonna have to be ultra tactile and put on a show. And this was a show for social media. Every touch was calculated. Every gaze was performed. Every moment was designed for the photographer who was there specifically to capture Meghan looking loved, looking happy, looking like a woman whose marriage isn't falling apart behind closed doors. Social media users weren't having it. Comments flooded in calling out the fakery. "Watch that divorce clock," one person wrote. Another noted, "No matter how many times Meghan Markle claps back with 'See, he loves me' posts, we can all see the truth." The performance fooled absolutely nobody. If anything, it made things worse. Because when you have to work that hard to convince people you're happy, when you have to stage that level of public affection, it only confirms what everyone already suspects. Something is very, very wrong. There's something deeply disturbing about watching Prince Harry play surrogate uncle to strangers' children while his actual niece and nephews grow up an ocean away, barely knowing who he is. That photograph of Harry bear-hugging Kelly's 12-year-old daughter Lily should have been sweet. Instead, it was creepy, sad, and emblematic of everything Harry has lost in his desperate attempt to please his wife. Because let's be brutally honest here, Harry doesn't have a relationship with Prince George, Princess Charlotte, or Prince Louis. He walked away from them, he abandoned his family, and now he's trying to fill that void with Meghan's friends' kids, pretending he's built some new, better family in California. Royal commentator Brittany didn't hold back when discussing this bizarre dynamic. "I did find that a bit creepy that Meghan posted. I'm just not sure why that needed to be posted. It just felt really odd. And I couldn't also help but think, does Harry spend any time with his actual niece? No. That's the question nobody can escape. Harry is hugging someone else's daughter, calling her our other favorite Lily, while his brother's children are strangers to him, children who carry his blood, children who should know their uncle, children who have been erased from Harry's life because Meghan decided they weren't worth keeping around. The isolation Harry now lives in is staggering. His entire world has been reduced to Meghan's circle, Meghan's friends, Meghan's connections, Meghan's events, Meghan's publicity stunts. He had to cut off his entire life in the United Kingdom to please his wife, his father, his brother, his childhood friends, his military connections, his niece and nephews, all of it gone, sacrificed on the altar of Meghan's ambition. And what does he have to show for it? Awkward photo ops at memorial services where he's positioned as a caring father figure to children who aren't his while his own kids remain locked away and invisible. Sources close to the situation reveal that Harry's relationship with William is beyond repair at this point. There's no coming back from the betrayals, the lies, the constant attacks on Catherine and the rest of the royal family. which means those children, George, Charlotte, and Louis, will grow up without Uncle Harry. They'll grow up hearing stories about the uncle who turned his back on the family, who sold them out for Netflix money, who chose Meghan over everyone else. And Harry will be the one who has to live with that. He'll be the one explaining to Archie and Lilibet, assuming they actually exist in any normal capacity, why they don't know their cousins, why they don't have relationships with their royal relatives, why their father burned every bridge he ever had. The tragedy is that Harry had it all. He was beloved. He had a family who would have supported him through anything. He had niece and nephews who would have adored him, and he threw it all away for a woman who uses him as a prop in her endless quest for fame and relevance. Now he's playing pretend uncle to strangers' kids at memorial services, while his real family moves on without him. It's pathetic, it's sad, and it's entirely his own fault. Let's address the elephant in the room that nobody in mainstream media wants to touch. The conspiracy theories surrounding Archie and Lilibet Sussex have moved from fringe internet forums to mainstream conversation, and they're not going away. In fact, they're getting louder, more detailed, and more difficult to dismiss. Because when you hide your children to this extreme degree, when you release only heavily controlled, often questionable photographs, when you create this level of secrecy and mystery, people are going to ask questions. And the questions being asked right now are absolutely explosive. Do Archie and Lilibet actually exist in the way Meghan and Harry have presented them to the world? It sounds insane to even type that question, but here we are. Online communities have spent years dissecting every photograph, every statement, every appearance involving these children, and the inconsistencies are piling up. The lack of any candid, verifiable sightings is beyond unusual. It's unprecedented for children of this profile. We're not talking about regular celebrity privacy. We're talking about a blackout so complete that it defies logic and fuels increasingly dark speculation. The surrogate rumors have been swirling since before Archie was even born. People noticed inconsistencies in Meghan's pregnancy photos. The bump seemed to change size dramatically. There were moments where it appeared to shift or move in ways that real pregnant bellies don't. The secrecy surrounding the birth was extreme even by royal standards. No doctors' names released, no hospital confirmation, no traditional photo call, just a heavily staged announcement and a handful of controlled images. And then Archie disappeared from public view almost entirely, only to re-emerge occasionally in photographs that raised more questions than they answered. Lilibet's situation is even more mysterious. Allegedly born in California, the world has seen almost nothing of this child. The few photos released show a baby whose appearance seems inconsistent between images. People have pointed out strange proportions, odd angles, and editing that look suspicious. Some observers have noted that the children never seem to age appropriately between photos. Others question why there are no videos of these kids doing normal kid things, no clips of them playing, talking, running around, just static images that could be manipulated, staged, or worse. The doll theories sound absurd until you start looking at the evidence people have compiled. Photographs where the children's limbs appear stiff or positioned unnaturally. Images where faces look oddly smooth or lacking in detail. Moments where what should be a living, breathing child looks more like a prop. People have done side-by-side comparisons with actual dolls and the similarities are unsettling. Now, are Meghan and Harry literally using dolls instead of real children? That seems unlikely. But the fact that people can even make these comparisons without being immediately dismissed tells you how strange the entire situation has become. The simplest explanation, the one that makes the most sense, is that Archie and Lilibet do exist, but their lives are nothing like what Meghan and Harry claim. Perhaps they're hidden because of surrogacy arrangements. Perhaps there are custody issues nobody knows about. Perhaps the children have special needs that Meghan doesn't want revealed. Whatever the truth is, the secrecy has become the story, and that story is spiraling completely out of control. Everything Harry and Meghan have built, every opportunity they've squeezed out of Hollywood, every door that's opened for them, comes down to one thing: those royal titles. Without them, they're just another failed celebrity couple in Los Angeles. Without them, Meghan is a former cable television actress with a podcast nobody listened to. Without them, Harry is an unemployed ex-military officer who burned every bridge he had. The titles are everything. The titles are the brand. The titles are the only thing keeping them relevant. And those titles are about to be ripped away. King Charles has been hesitant, perhaps too hesitant, to take decisive action against his wayward son. Despite the constant attacks, despite the betrayals documented in Spare, despite the Netflix documentary that humiliated the royal family, Charles has held back. Perhaps it's fatherly love, perhaps it's weakness, perhaps it's fear of looking like the bad guy. But the pressure is mounting, and it's coming from the future king himself. Prince William has made it abundantly clear that when he takes the throne, the Sussex titles are gone. Finished, stripped away without hesitation or mercy. Sources close to William reveal that he views Harry and Meghan as a cancer on the royal family. They've damaged the monarchy's reputation. They've hurt his wife Catherine with vicious lies and innuendo. They've caused his father endless stress during a time when Charles should be enjoying his reign. And William is not the forgiving type. He's not interested in reconciliation or olive branches. He's interested in protecting the institution, protecting his family, and cutting off the poison at its source. When William becomes king, Harry and Meghan are out. Archie and Lilibet lose their prince and princess titles. The whole Sussex house of cards collapses. The implications for Meghan and Harry are catastrophic. Their entire existence in Hollywood depends on that royal connection. Every speaking engagement, every potential deal, every door that opens even slightly, is because they're the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. Without those titles, they're nobody. Meghan knows this, Harry knows this, and that's why they're clinging to them with such desperation, even as they simultaneously claim they never wanted royal life in the first place. The contradiction is glaring. If they truly wanted to be free of the royal family, they'd renounce the titles themselves, but they won't, because they can't. Because without them, the money dries up, and the relevance disappears. But here's the real question that nobody's addressing. What happens to Archie and Lilibet when those titles vanish? Right now, they're Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet, at least on paper. They hold positions in the line of succession. They have theoretical claims to royal status. But when William strips all of that away, and he will, what are they left with? Who are they? Two invisible children with no royal connection, no public presence, no identity beyond being the kids of two increasingly desperate former royals. The titles are hanging by a thread, and when that thread snaps, the entire Sussex fantasy collapses with it. Let's talk about Meghan's friends, because once you understand who she surrounds herself with, everything else starts to make sense. These aren't genuine friendships built on mutual respect and support. These are transactional relationships between people who use each other for publicity, connections, and clout. Grifters recognizing fellow grifters, a circle of opportunists who are more than willing to exploit each other if it means advancing their own agendas. And McKee Zajfen fits perfectly into this pattern. Royal commentator Brittany absolutely nailed it when she said, "All of Meghan's real, you could say true friends are all grifters like she is. They all grift off each other, and they're more than willing to use each other to be used, if it helps them in some sort of way." Think about what that means. Kelly lost her 9-year-old son in absolutely devastating circumstances. That tragedy should be private, sacred, something you protect from public consumption. But instead, Kelly invites Harry and Meghan to the memorial, brings in photographers, turns it into a publicity event. Why? Because she's building a foundation. She needs awareness, she needs donations, and Harry and Meghan bring attention, even if that attention comes with a circus attached. Meghan's calculation is equally cold. She needs to shift narratives away from divorce rumors and career failures. She needs content for social media. She needs to appear compassionate, connected, and relevant. So she shows up with tears on demand, a personal photographer, and stage displays of emotion that fool absolutely nobody. Both sides get what they want. Kelly gets publicity for her foundation. Meghan gets sympathetic photos and a chance to play the caring friend. It's a transaction disguised as friendship. It's grifting at its most transparent. This pattern repeats throughout Meghan's inner circle. Her makeup artist, Daniel Martin, who she claimed as one of her closest friends, is reportedly now at odds with her. Word on the street suggests their relationship is strained because Daniel dared to promote his own career without Meghan's explicit permission. He appeared at Paris Fashion Week, did his own thing, got his own attention. And Meghan, who views her friends as employees rather than equals, wasn't happy about it. Because in Meghan's world, everyone exists to serve her. Their friendship is about him elevating her, not the other way around. Sources close to the situation reveal that Meghan sees her friends through a hierarchy where she sits at the top. They're there to support her projects, boost her image, and stay in their lane. The moment they step outside that role, the moment they dare to have their own ambitions that don't directly benefit Meghan, tensions arise. It's not friendship, it's a power structure where Meghan controls everything and everyone around her. And as the Sussex brand continues its spectacular collapse, as the money problems intensify and the Hollywood doors slam shut, this grifter circle is getting tighter and more desperate. They're running out of options, they're running out of people to exploit, and the walls are closing in fast. So here we are at the question that keeps Meghan up at night. What happens when the titles disappear? Not if, when, because it's coming. William has made that crystal clear. Charles might drag his feet, might cling to hope for reconciliation, might hesitate out of fatherly love, but William won't. And eventually, whether through Charles finally taking action or William ascending to the throne, those Sussex titles are getting stripped away. And when that happens, everything changes. The entire house of cards that Meghan and Harry have built comes crashing down in spectacular fashion. Without the titles, the Hollywood opportunities evaporate completely. Nobody wants to book the former Duke and Duchess of Sussex for speaking engagements. Nobody's interested in Meghan Markle, failed actress, or Harry Windsor, unemployed spare heir. The doors that barely cracked open will slam shut permanently. The Netflix deal won't get renewed. The book deals dry up. The charity work becomes meaningless without the royal connection giving it weight. Everything they've clung to, everything they've exploited, everything they've monetized disappears the moment those letters HRH get crossed off their letterhead. But here's what should terrify Meghan more than anything else. What happens to the invisible children? Right now, Archie and Lilibet have titles, at least on paper. They're prince and princess. They're in the line of succession. They have theoretical value, theoretical importance, theoretical connections to the British monarchy. But strip all that away, and what are they? Two children nobody's ever really seen, living in isolation, with no public identity beyond being the kids of two increasingly desperate former royals. Will Meghan finally have to show them to the world to prove they exist? Will the fortress gates of Montecito have to open because the mystique no longer serves any purpose? The conspiracy theories will reach fever pitch the moment those titles vanish. People will demand answers. If Archie and Lilibet are real, normal children living the lives Meghan claims, then why keep hiding them once the royal connection is severed? What's the point of the secrecy anymore? The only leverage that secrecy provided was keeping people curious about the royal children. But royal children without titles, without positions, without any actual connection to the monarchy are just regular kids, and regular kids don't get hidden away like state secrets, unless something very strange is going on. Sources close to the royal family suggest that when the titles go, so does any remaining tolerance for Harry's behavior. The door to reconciliation, already barely open, slams shut completely. Harry will be a man who sacrificed everything, his family, his country, his military connections, his future, for a woman who sold him a dream that turned into a nightmare. And those invisible children will be the ultimate victims of their parents' choices, growing up isolated, hidden, cut off from their heritage, and surrounded by the wreckage of their parents' spectacular fall from grace. The titles are hanging by a thread. The conspiracy theories are exploding worldwide, and Meghan and Harry have absolutely no good answers for any of it. So what do you think? Are Archie and Lilibet real? Drop your thoughts below, like, subscribe, and stay tuned. The next video is waiting, and you won't believe what's coming next.